Hey everybody, it's your girl Bunny. To all of my returning subscribers, hey, how you doing? And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Kick your feet up, subscribe to this family-friendly channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. Also follow me on Instagram at the same profile name so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. In this video, it's Iyanla, Fix My Life, entitled My Marriage is None of Our Business. I give a full episode recap with photos offset to the side, and then I give my review at the end. No need to dig around. I have all of the minute marks in the comments. It's all coming up next. Iyanla narrates, "This is a story of a marriage in trouble. A good marriage is full of questions, but unanswered questions will topple a marriage. Unanswered questions can bring a marriage from a heated boil of love and romance to a slow simmer of anger, bitterness, and resentment. In marriage, the role you play opens the door for more questions. Who am I in this marriage, and who am I becoming? This is a story of two people who are growing apart and growing away from who they were when they first married." Miss Deidre wrote us because she's unhappy in her marriage, her life, and she's questioning where to go next. But before we can make any decisions about the future, I want to know from Miss Deidre and her husband Idris if we are here to repair a marriage or dissolve one. Dr. Denora tells Deidre, "I know this can feel a little scary and weird, but I actually like you to blindfold yourself. You can put the blindfold over your glasses and I will guide you into the next room." There's a handoff to Miss Iyanla, and she guides her to the next room where they will have their first exercise. Then we have Idris. He arrives and is instructed to do the same routine, to place the blindfold on and then to be guided into the room where they had the first exercise. Iyanla says, "Welcome everyone. Both of you are here because of the choices you made, choices you need to make. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Idris. I'm going to uncover your eyes and you're going to have 3 choices to make. And make a choice from your heart and let them speak your truth. Are you ready?" He says yes. Iyanla does not say the choices out loud and allows Idris to read them and make a decision. The different doors read, number 1, I'm married to the woman of my dreams. Number 2, I made my bed, so now I must lie in it. And 3, I married a nightmare and don't know how to get out. Idris selects quietly option number 2. So Iyanla hands him a large bucket of lemons. Now it's Deidre's turn. Deidre has 3 doors to select from as well. Iyanla wants her to choose what most represents why she chose to write Iyanla. Door number 1 reads, I married my knight in shining armor. 2, I married a man who wanted me because I wanted to be chosen. And 3, if only you knew. Iyanla reminds her that whatever you choose, make sure it's your truth. She removes the blindfold and she selects option 3, if only you knew. Iyanla wants her to come over now to the opposite side to see what Idris selected. He explains that he made the choice of I made my bed, now I must lie in it, because he chose to be married and he chose to go in that direction in his life. Deandra explains that his response feels familiar and actually reminds her of her father because he did the same thing. I think he just did his best to make it work. Iyanla says, I see. And that's what your husband is saying here, because he could have chosen I married the woman of my dreams, but he didn't. But at least that's not as bad as this door. I married a nightmare and I don't know how to get out. She chose for you, Idris, if you only knew. How does that make you feel? And he says that I'm not very surprised. I mean, there's a lot going on. And Iyanla wants to know, how does it feel to know that your wife chose that? And he says he understands her selection. Iyanla wants them to know that even if you don't talk about it, you wear your emotions and everything that's going on while you're walking around. She brings their choices to wear as a necklace. Deidre says, this is how I feel, but I think I try to show the world something else, something better. They've been married for 6 years and have 2 children together, but in all, there is a total of 11 children. It's Idris's second marriage. She had 2 children before they got married, and Idris had 7 before their marriage. His oldest is 29, and the youngest is 3. Like every show dealing with relationships, Iyanla wants to know their love story. Deidre explains that they met at work, and Idris approached her because she was eating some strawberries, and he cracked jokes about how she was eating them. And then he gave her his number. There's a production clip where she explains that the first time they met, everything felt easy. There was nothing forced. It felt very safe, physically and emotionally. They moved in with one another 3 months later and married 6 months after their first date. And he moved in with her. Iyanla says, okay, so why are you here today? So what is the hardness of your marriage bed? Idris says, I really don't think she wants me. It's hard for me because we have children. I want to run, but I can't. I can't go because I have children. Iyanla wants clarification on what he means by he wants to go. You're saying that you want to go. Do you want to be out of this marriage? It takes him quite a while to answer the question. And Iyanla says, if it's taking you that long, that means that you're out because you can't choose. She asked the same question to Deidre, and she wants in and answers very quickly. She's okay with hearing his honesty, but Iyanla wants clarification of, do you want out of the marriage or do you want out of the difficulties within your marriage? And he says he wants out of the difficulties. But the hardest question approaches. Iyanla says, being honest, are you in love with her? And he says no. And she says the same thing. They say that their number one static between them is communication. In Idris's production clip, he says that he wants communication to be on the same page, and he feels disconnection and that he can't depend on her for much of anything. They have a business together that they started 5 years ago. Their business relationship and marriage relationship are the same. She feels that there's no partnership when it comes to decision making. She brought into his vision and tried to make it a business plan, but our business plan could be amazing, but he doesn't want to do that together. He shared that when she was pregnant, he was trying to start a business and she wanted to quit her job. Iyanla says, translation, you felt that you needed her there with you. You were trying to make this business start and you needed her to work so I could get my business started off the ground. Is that correct? And he says, yes, that's accurate. Now it's time for both of the women to speak alone. Deidre is hurt at some of the things that he said because it's not too long ago he asked for a divorce. And it was the first time she didn't feel afraid to say, fine, okay, we can end it all, but she didn't. Then he was the one that changed his mind, that couldn't drive away and couldn't leave. And Iyanla is just very curious and wondering, do you want to be with this man? She says, yes, I really want to be with him. I mean, it's just, and she can't answer the question clearly. But she wants her to know that, Deidre, are you financially dependent on him? She clarifies that yes, he was for a very long time, but gladly she's working now because she was tired of not having her own. Deidre, when you met him, what did you know about his relationship building skills? And she explains that he connected with me and he was very adamant that he had grown as a man, a father, and learned from his past failures. So to me, in my mind, he was ready for this serious relationship. And everything that happens in his life, I just see over a period of time, he blames everybody else for his failures. She wants to find out the pieces they're missing in order to have a good relationship. Iyanla says, well, I just feel there needs to be an inspiration, more of a fight for your marriage, because I feel like neither one of you are fighting for the marriage. She says, yeah, and she breaks down in tears. She wants love, and there's so much that she doesn't want to lose. She thinks that all of the things that they work for has potential. Iyanla understands. And she said, you have to understand, he chose, I made my bed and now I must lie in it. But does he understand what his part is in the bed that he made in the first place? Idris says that he knows that it's not just his wife when it comes to the decision. And Iyanla says, that choice you made, I made my bed, now I must lie. Now you're saying your wife. I need you to answer for yourself, not to include her. She throws him some lemons and says, here, hold that. Hold your lemons because I need you to really focus. Let's go back to the beginning. How did you learn how to choose a woman? And he says, well, I didn't learn how to choose a woman. My father took me from my mother and dropped me off at my grandmother's house when I was 3 all the way until I was about 8 or 9. My mom didn't come to get me until I was about 8 or 9. And my father was on drugs. And Iyanla says, your honesty and speaking about it is very important. So it's accurate to say that you dealt with abandonment. Sometimes brothers will try to do things and get things together backwards. So Idris became a father before he was aware of how to be a man. Sometimes we have to look at our environment and our patterns to understand what we're going through. Are you lonely in your marriage? And he says, yes, sometimes. She says, yeah. If things stayed exactly the way that they were, their work, marriage, the business, everything, would you stay? And he says, no. Well, explain this to me, Idris. Why did you get into business with your wife? And he says, well, it was her idea. I mean, she didn't get along with some people at work and she wanted to quit. And she just said that she wanted to come home and help me with the business. So I said, okay. And Iyanla says, okay, so you said okay because your mommy told you so? He's like, no. She's like, yeah. You see her as mommy and you wanted to obey mommy. As a man, one of the things that you haven't been able to understand is that you don't have clear vision of what you want and what you don't want. You don't take ownership of the responsibilities and things that you've done as a man. You have to be forth and front with your business and your marriage. You have 1 foot in when it comes to your business and 1 foot out. When it comes to your marriage, you have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You have to be strong and have a strong foundation into what you want. Instead of telling your wife what you think she wants to hear, be a man and stand in your truth. We've got to correct some of these behaviors. And Iyanla begins with the narration. Both of them are wishing for their marriage to be different, but I suspect that fear on both sides keep them stuck in destruction. I'm hoping in this next exercise that they will have the courage to tell all of their truths that they've been hiding from each other, truths that will allow them to finally move forward in their lives with each other as a marriage or as individuals. Iyanla instructs them to put on robes, and also they take Idris's lemons and places them on the bed. She says this bed represents the love marriage bed. You have one side representing the love and the marriage and the other side representing the business. Let's be clear. Are we here to save the marriage or the business? They both choose to sit on the marriage side of the bed. Iyanla wants them to understand that intimacy, when it leaves, you stop having intimate conversations, and you two must have intimate conversations. They also have conversation cards to guide them as they go. Idris says, I feel like when I asked you to do anything, you turned that into something right back that I have to do. But she feels that she doesn't respect him as a business partner. And Iyanla says, well, why don't you say that, Idris? Tell her that you don't respect her as a business partner. He says, I don't respect you as a business partner. She says, well, and she says, say it back. If that's how you feel, say it back that you don't respect him. And she finally says it, that I don't respect him as a business partner either. Iyanla says, though, now why did you have to fight that? Why did it take you a minute to respond and say that back to him? She says that's a bad habit of hers, that she doesn't really bring up anything or say anything, but she needs to be more vocal. And she also says, well, I would say something more, but I just feel sometimes he's lazy. There's a lot of things in the marriage and business that he doesn't do. But Idris doesn't understand why she says that he's lazy. He works all the time, and when he finally gets a moment to rest, he goes to sleep. But she says, no, I mean, we have a huge family. There's always something to do. There's a back and forth between the two, but Iyanla is letting them get it out and vent because we're learning more details about how they both feel. We learn that Deidre is saying that he sleeps all the time and that he's lazy, but he's saying that he's older and when he gets home, he doesn't have enough energy and he wants to go to sleep. She also brings up the fact that there's always something going on. You're also disorganized and you live in chaos. You don't allow me or anyone to help you. For example, when it comes to the business, you haven't paid taxes in 5 years. And Iyanla just drops her head in shock. Idris, why haven't you paid the taxes for your business in 5 years? And Idris says, well, I left that up to my wife to do. And you should see Idris' face. It is priceless at this point. But Iyanla says, you know what? Was that the agreement? Did you guys have the agreement that that's one of the things that she would work on for the business? And he says, no, that wasn't an agreement. It's not an agreement because I really don't rely on her because she won't do what I asked or anything, so I don't trust that she will do what needs to be done. I can just be my own business partner. I don't want you to help me with the business anymore. And Iyanla says, you say my business, you know this and that, but you don't trust yourself. You're saying you don't trust her, but you don't trust yourself. So you know that you won't succeed. So in order to do something and distract from the failure, you put it on her. You don't respect her because you don't respect yourself. This is what happens when you are an underdeveloped man that becomes a father, that becomes a husband, and then opens up a business. You expect it because you haven't had your proper womanhood training as well. Deidre, you become a mother before you learn how to be a woman, before you learn your womanhood. Is he your daddy, your brother, or your man? As they switch to another topic, Deidre says, you know what? Your children don't respect me as a stepmom. They do like you. They sleep all day. They don't come out the room. Iyanla interrupts to get Deidre to switch seats, and she wants to let Idris know. She sits down next to Idris and says, your sons are not demonstrating that they are learning to be the kind of man I know you want them to be. They are going to demonstrate what you teach them. I'm not sure what to do about that, but I am concerned. She turns to Deidre and says, and that's how you do that. You come from a place of sincerity, not yakking in his ear, just nitpicking over everything. The woman has to talk to her man to get him to move in the way she needs him to move. All that you do is I'm noticing that. I know you do that from a place of love and concern, but things have to come together because you're raising husbands and wives. Your children are seeing your behaviors. Talk to him like a woman. Put your perfume in the lowest part of your crevice and dare him to smell it. And that is what you are bringing to the table. Okay? Now, my brother, what do you bring to the table? She says, you know what, Deidre, please just give us a moment. Give us some privacy, please. And Deidre agrees and leaves the room. Idris, who is accountable for you as a man? He says, myself. And Iyanla says, that's a problem. A man who takes accountability for himself is a danger to himself. Who checks you, brother? What is your spiritual foundation? He says, well, Islam. She says, well, are you practicing? He says, no. So you need help, brother, because you can't do this by yourself, okay? He agrees, and then Iyanla says to Deidre, okay, come in. And she turns to Idris and says, I wasn't going to say that in front of your wife because, she was going to just really drag that in front of you. And he says, thank you. You're like, yeah, she would have held that over your head and beat you with it. They share a little laugh. Miss Deidre, your father was an addict, right? And he disappointed you too many times. And she says, yes, he did. Iyanla instructs Idris to hold her as his wife. And she says, Idris, did you know that her father was an addict? He said, no, I had no idea. And Iyanla says, what? Like, she is in complete just disbelief. How do you not know that? How do you not know that information about your wife? I mean, you need to know that. All women marry their fathers. She expects you to disappoint her. I want you to come in here tomorrow, and I want you to write a prayer for your wife. I want you to do the same thing. I want you to write a prayer for your husband. We'll put together a living vision for your marriage tomorrow, okay? You will have to be stuck in a place. You two are stuck in a place, right? From your childhood, playing house. But what's going on with y'all is y'all have to learn to grow up, and quick. It's day 2, and Deidre has more of a positive energy and has clarification that she takes part in a lot of the matters more than what she took responsibility for. Iyanla wants to know, what was the most revealing thing to you, either from what your husband said or what you realized? I realized that I did excuse my father's behavior when I was little. I mean, I was always constantly in chaos. Everything in my home was constantly chaos as a kid. And Iyanla says, what became clear for me was how disappointed you are in your husband, but you didn't speak it. You didn't speak it. You say it, but it's just in a different way. She's like, yeah, saying I'm disappointed in a grown man just didn't seem right to me. She's like, but you do say it, just not in those exact words. I mean, more specifically, but you embody it. That's why I got that stuff here in front of it. Just this stuff that's in front of you, just put it on. And I want you to get a visual of something. And she puts on a bonnet and a robe. She says, when you walk around like that, your husband can't see you as his seductress. You've got to show up in a way that keeps him visually stimulated. If only you knew how to show up looking like a woman. Do you have your, watch me clothes? The clothes you walk around in and say, ooh, watch me. And they share a little giggle. And she says, this symbolizes, a lot of things. Now you are a wife. You're saying that, you want to be the wife that you want to be. Are you the wife that you want to be? And she says, no, I just feel like I filter myself a lot, that I just can't be myself. And she begins to cry. Iyanla says, I want to support you. And I want to make sure I do that before you leave here. I want you to have a new vision of yourself. I don't care if you got on a t-shirt and some jeans. When you have on that t-shirt and jeans, you wear it with confidence, and you know that you are just bad stuff. I have something in store for you while I'm waiting on your husband to come speak with me. And one thing I noticed is that you have a hairstyle of a 14-year-old. That was my first thing that I noticed, that you looked really, really young. But we have my stylist here. We're going to get you right and get you done. And we will make sure that you look like a grown woman before you leave. It's all laughs and tikikikis, but Deidre, she knows exactly where Iyanla is coming from. Now it's time to speak to Idris. She says, what have you learned so far from something that you know today that you didn't know yesterday? He says, when we talked about religion and how important it is for me to be grounded, I realized that I need to do that more. And Iyanla clarifies that it's everyone's choice about the religion and everything like that. I just want you to be anchored in something. And if you're not anchored and grounded in something, you feel like you're doing everything on your own. And that's what we don't want. He says, yeah, when I was younger, I got in trouble all the time, and I come to realize I just needed a father, someone that was there for me. She says, your homework, the prayer. Did you think of the prayer? He says yes, and he reads, Dear God, I thank you for my wife. She is so precious to me. I pray that you bless her spirit, her mind, her body, who she is, and all the things that she does for our family. I'm so thankful to have her as my wife, my lover, my partner, and friend. I pray you continue to teach me every day to be a better husband, and the husband that she needs me to be. And it brings him to tears. And Iyanla says, now, how did that feel when you prayed for her? And he's like, it felt good. She's like, listen, as a woman, When you have a man pray for you, that's sexy. You're sexy to me. And he said, I could take sexy. And they start to laugh and share a good laugh. So it just kind of relieves that sadness and that era in the room to where they can both kind of relax. And he says, Idris, you're the head of the household. And when things aren't right, you have to take accountability for that. What do you think you need in order to make things better? And Idris explains that I know for a fact that my connection with God needs to be better. I need to have and develop, to build a network of people that I can go to and lean on when I need some support. Some man training and taking care of my business. And she says, that's good to hear. And it's very beautiful to know and hear you talk about the pieces that you need to get you to help you in your life. What if the bed you made was a learning ground? It's not going to be easy, but you can do it. As a matter of fact, I have a surprise for you. And in walks Deidre. There are smiles all in the room, and Deidre says that she feels beautiful and more confident. And Iyanla says, you were beautiful before, but now you just look like a woman. Now, I don't need you to come back here looking like a 14-year-old. And they all start laughing. Iyanla wants them to be confident and love the energies and the new foundations that they have. But she goes on to explain that goals and dreams for this marriage, so you all can have a solid foundation and you know what you're working towards. We got to talk about that. So she gets the blackboard and wants them to do another exercise together. She says, what is a marriage? And they answer a union, a team, an example for their children. And she says, okay, examples, name an example, something that's for your children. And Deidre says, of a healthy relationship. She says, good. If you work on those basics and you understand what your marriage means, everything will fall into place. You've learned of your bad behaviors, blaming, ejecting. So you have to remind yourself and remind each other of your commitments. The marriage can never be destroyed, right? From the outside, it can only be destroyed from the inside. Now, what are you two going to do about the business? And Idris says, I want to rebuild and take care of everything, but I do want to take care of the current clients. But I just feel that my role as the husband and the father are more important, and that needs to come first. I'll take care of, like I said, my current clients and learn from small things of business and go from there, because I just feel like the business foundation needs to be strong, and it's just really not strong. And Deidre is very excited to hear him speak that way and say that he's chosen the marriage and being a father and husband first, and she's just really, really shocked. And Iyanla says, what do you know now before you got here? And Deidre says, I know now that we can have a successful, strong marriage if we keep working at it. And he agrees that it's important that they have the business and the family. And if they want both, they have to take accountability for everything. It just says, that's good. Communication is key. It's time that you work together from here on out as the village grows. Take care of each other and move forward. Now I need you, Deidre, to take off your glasses. And she jokes that, okay, I'm going to take off my glasses, but I can't see. And she's like, it's okay. It's all right. I want you to tell your woman what you see. And he says, I see my woman. And she's like, okay, Deidre, with your one good eye. And they all share a laugh. Tell him what you see. And she says, I see my man and an awesome husband and father. What happens when the dream for a marriage dies? When what you hoped for, what you worked towards, what you came together to do seems like it will never get done? Moments of darkness don't mean always that the marriage of the dream is dead. It could mean that the marriage needs a new dream, a vision, a direction. She leads them into another room and says, well, where you going? And they both choose the door that reads, all in. The narration continues. Even when you don't have all of the answers, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep asking questions. Questions are the mechanisms that keep you accountable for yourself, your partner, and a higher power greater than both of you. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. And also, I thank you for your patience because it is Tuesday and Iyanla Fix My Life episodes come on Saturdays. This weekend, April the 18th, was my birthday, and I really wanted to take a break, rest, and just enjoy my birthday. So thank you guys so much for being patient for this episode. It's pretty busy for me because I do Delilah, Iyanla Fix My Life, Ready to Love, Queen Sugar, like all in the same week. So I definitely wanted to have this weekend for myself. So thank you so much, you guys. This episode was a lot, and if you are a watcher of my recaps and reviews, I always say that Iyanla doesn't tie everything up into a perfect bow after every episode, but she does provide the tools that are needed in order to recognize behaviors, to see what's needed to move forward, and I feel that she does that with this show. If you're unaware, there are only 4 episodes left before the Iyanla Fix My Life series comes to a close. So the episodes that are left are a lot of the part 2s from earlier in the season. Iyanla has chosen to end the show because she feels like everything with production and getting things ready just takes a lot, and then the influence of social media without understanding all of the pieces that it takes to go into the show really kind of overshadows helping people. So she really wants to have more of an intimate involvement with people who request her services. So that's completely understandable. She's given us years of footage and things to work with. I know in one of her interviews that she had, she describes that sometimes they do days of filming and exercises and work, and then people can choose at the last minute that they don't want to give permission or consent of the footage. So that's very draining. I can only imagine how many people and how many different things that they had to do, and somebody said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. That could be really frustrating. And also, like she says, the impact of social media. Maybe sometimes people only see small clips of a show, and she said the negativity from that and people bullying not only her looks, her guests, but just people judging from the outside takes a toll on those who really need healing. So it's totally understandable. Let me know what you think. Don't forget, you guys, that there are more shows coming. We have Pose, which is an FX original series, and we have The Handmaid's Tale that starts very soon. So make sure that you check out those playlists to where if you've never seen those shows, that you can catch up and binge watch, and you can be with us during these seasons. Make sure to check out The Handmaid's Tale. It's actually on Hulu, and don't worry if you don't have Hulu, I got you covered for that series as well, and you can just stay afloat with everything else. Make sure that you check out Ready to Love on the OWN network. It's a funny, very exciting reality show dating series, so check that out. No need to dig around. I'll make sure to put a lot of those links in the pinned comments, so make sure that you check those out. In the meantime, please like this video, subscribe, share with family and friends, because this is a family-friendly channel, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram so you don't miss sneak peeks of stuff to come, and also little tidbits of what's going on in my personal life. Until then, take care of yourself and each other. I'll see you next time. Bye.